why don't I go ahead and give you a brief 5-minute break, and then we'll come back and hear more, okay? All right, so let me address the victim's family here. I understand why they're very frustrated, and it's because of the law, quite frankly. The state can only argue and only present evidence in regard to aggravating factors, and they're on one aggravating factor right now, which is basically cold calculated and they're premeditated. And then they have 3 more to argue. The defense, on the other hand, basically can say anything, because almost anything except for public policy arguments can be mitigating circumstances. So I can understand how it can be very frustrating for the family, because they can hardly say anything. They have given victim impact statements, and that's within the parameters of Payne versus Tennessee and all of the subsequent case law and the statute. And I know they're frustrated because the defense can basically say whatever they want, and they really can't say a whole lot, and the state really can't present anything more than aggravating factors or rebut mitigating the circumstances. So I understand their frustration. However, there will be a point, regardless of the verdicts, where they're going to be able to speak. And that's not yet, but it's going to happen. I'll allow them to speak. Now, the worst thing that can happen here is if we wait for this thing to go to trial for 6 years, which is a long time, and COVID was a part of that. Quite frankly, the Public Defender's Office had this case for a long time, and they sat on it and did nothing, and they refused to take any depositions because we weren't allowed to take depositions in person. They refused to take depositions by Zoom. Zoom was brand new. Nobody knew what it was. The public defender at the time refused to do any depositions by Zoom, and then, of course, eventually we got used to it, and now we're doing a whole lot of things by Zoom. But the worst thing that can happen is to wait around 6 years for this to finally happen. And then what if it does come back death and things are happening by the victim's family, which mandates that the case gets reversed and we're doing it again? That isn't in your best interest at all. Okay, now, I'm here refereeing not what the lawyers do so much, but what the victim's family is doing. And you don't want a record where some appellate court is going to say, this just doesn't seem fair to the defendant, and we're going to do it all over again. So in another 6 years, we're doing it again, okay? And it's not because the lawyers are doing anything improper or the witnesses, but it may appear to an appellate court that the victim's family is. So I have this request, okay? Don't be standing up, okay? Sit down like everybody else, okay? And then,
You want me to speak?
okay. And what's your name? Okay. All right. And then, all right. And then every day you've was shown up. I understand the family's been here every day. I did notice that some days you're all dressed up and some days you aren't. And then today you're in full military gear, right? So, right. I understand that, all right? But that's not what the purpose of this is today, okay? And we don't want a situation where it appears as if you're trying to make a statement.
I'm not making a statement. I'm wearing this because I wore this to my father's funeral. He did this. So my point
I
is,
understand.
if you want me to leave, just tell me.
All right, well, I would like this, okay? Here's your three choices, okay? Change your clothes and come back, or I don't have a problem if you sit in the third row there behind those big guys, okay? And so you're less conspicuous, okay? Or,
I've had 7 surgeries and I have to move around. That's why I stand up.
okay, yeah.
He has been standing.
Yeah, he has been standing a lot. I've been noticing that, so.
This is discrimination. This is not the freedom that we fought for.
Well, it's not. We don't want, I'm sure you don't want to risk having this case reversed, right? You don't want to do that.
Prosecution is closing because of the clothes that people are wearing.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is not unusual, okay? I mean, we've had cases where people have come in with T-shirts that have the victims' photos on them or faces on them, okay? You can't do that, okay? We've had police officers who have been the victims on death penalty cases, and then a whole bunch of police officers came in uniform. You can't do that either, okay? So I'm just trying to protect this case, which is in your best interest, okay?
What you're saying is what we wore, all of us, to our father's memorial service cannot be worn today.
Well, you can wear that. There's no problem with that. Richard can wear that. There's no problem with that. All right? But it just seems like that he's just trying to make a statement somehow with wearing his military uniform right now. Maybe he's not, okay, but it's not the intent, it's the appearance, okay? So that's why if he wants to change, that's fine. If he wants to sit in the third row, that's fine. If he wants to leave and watch it on streaming or whatever, that's fine too. But let's not risk the whole case. I mean, people have put in way too much work on this thing, right? And you've gone through enough grief on this whole thing where you don't want to have to do it again, right? Because of something like that. Okay? You will have an opportunity to speak. You can wear whatever you want. You can say whatever you want. But today's not the day for that. Today's the day to make sure that there's no issues with the case. And I've been working really hard to make sure there's not an issue here. All right? So that's all I ask, okay? Is just like everybody else, you sit and you listen. Okay, well, the third row, okay? I think we have like 10 rows here, okay? So the third row, that's not that far back, okay? And he'll just be behind a couple big guys back there. Or he can change, or if he wants to watch on streaming, that's fine too, okay? And then after that, after we're done with the verdicts and everything, then you can wear whatever you want. It's a totally different story, because obviously I'm not going to be influenced by anything, but we want to make sure that none of the jurors, we're going to have 12, we have 14 now, we're going to have 12, we don't want an argument that one of them was influenced by something that the victims are doing, or the victim's family's doing. Yes?
Judge, the only problematic thing I see with him sitting with his uniform in the, well, I mean, he shouldn't have worn it in the first place, but what I see problematic about him sitting in the third row is that he has to apparently get up all the time, which we've all seen that, but he's been in regular clothes. So if he's not, if he's having to get up, and he's going to decide when he wants to get up and sit down and get up and sit down, then I'd ask that he leave in his uniform and, like the court said, change and come back. And if he can't change for some reason, the other day when he was going to wear his military uniform, he was going to bring extra clothes in case he wouldn't allow it. But if he doesn't have that here today, then I'd ask he be excused if he's going to keep getting up in that uniform and watch it online.
All right, and there was no discussion with me about him possibly wearing a uniform, but apparently there was with the lawyers previously. Is that right?
He had
Yes.
originally indicated that he wanted to make his impact statement in his uniform because of he had worn that to his father's funeral, and he felt that his father was a big reason why he was successful in the military. We had discussed that with defense counsel. We alerted them to the fact that he wanted to do that so it could be addressed before the court, before there was anything, before the jury. And then when we came here that day, he had independently elected not to wear it. So it was not an issue that we had to bring up.
Well,
But it was an issue that we disagreed about.
in addition to alerting us, they said he will be downstairs. He'll be away from the jury until it can be addressed.
And he
That
will
was
bring
true.
extra clothes.
Last Thursday.
All right. So, I mean, he has been standing and walking around throughout the whole trial, but it hasn't been a distraction. I haven't noticed anyone watching him doing it. And apparently, I guess he has to do it for medical reasons or for physical reasons, right? So, all right. So, I'll have to rule on this, and this is really for their benefit, which is he's allowed in the courtroom, he's allowed to walk around because of his physical issues, but it's not going to be in uniform, okay? So bailiffs, if you can make sure that that happens, okay? That, if he comes in, that's fine. If he needs to walk around a little bit. And again, this is our biggest court. This is a really big courtroom. And if he's walking back there, I don't think it's anything that's going to distract the jury. I don't think it's been distracting the jury so far. I mean, we have Mr. Sarabia giving a closing argument here. We have a PowerPoint in the presentation. They've been looking at Mr. Sarabia and the PowerPoint, and the PowerPoints are in 3 different spots here where they can look, really 2 different spots for the jury, and that's not in view of anyone in the audience. In other words, that's not in the field of view for seeing the audience. So I think everything's fine, but we need to obviously have an abundance of caution, and then we've only said it once during this entire 2-week proceeding, which might be a record, and that is death is different. We have to be careful here, right? All right, so we know what the rules are. He can be in here. If he needs to walk around, I guess it's okay. Don't be a distraction, but in no uniform, he can change. Hopefully, he did bring a change of clothes because he was directed to, right, by the state.
We didn't have that conversation today. There
All right.
was nothing about it leading up to today.
Okay. All right, so everybody understands?
I reflect that my closing statement has been captivating.
Actually, I'll say this, it's been pretty good, okay? And it's been pretty interesting, so they've been paying attention. All right, so do you think we're ready for the jury?
Yes, sir.
Okay.